Hello there, my name is Jason Schmaltz and I'm an AMGA rock guide apprentice, and today I'm going to continue our series on multi-pitch rescue techniques. Last time we covered getting to baseline, which is kind of a good state if you want to do some type of rescue or help your climbers or something like that. And today we're going to do hauls, and so it's a great technique to be able to haul somebody, whether you just want to help them climb through a tough part, or if you need to get them out of a situation, maybe they got off course and now they're hanging out in space and you need to haul them back onto the route. So good technique to know. We're gonna practice with two followers in parallel. This is probably the most, I would say, difficult one to manage. So if you can do it in this scenario, you can do it with two followers in Caterpillar or with just one follower. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. And then, you can adjust that for your situation. You can haul from the baseline state that I showed you in our last video, but I'm going to show you how to go directly from an ATC or in my case, a Reverso to a haul system. And I'm also going to show you how to do the haul with a progress capture just made with Prussiks and carabiners versus a gree-gree. If you want to see how to do hauls with a gree-gree, you can reference one of my other videos. But if you can do it on this type of system, you can do it with the gree-gree. It's a lot easier. But not everybody has gree-grees, especially if you're doing alpine or something like that, or you are doing two followers like this. You might just be thinking, oh, I just need my tube device, so you don't even have a gree-gree with you. So it's good to know this technique. So in this scenario, my climbers have gotten to a point that's a little bit hard. They need some help. So I need to build a haul system to help them get through a hard section. And we're gonna haul the blue climber, and the red climber is gonna kind of be on standby as we do that. And then of course, if my red climber needs help, I could do the same technique with them later. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna wanna go hands-free. And we're gonna do two catastrophe knots like separate, one on each rope, so I can build this system. And again, I'm gonna build the system for the blue climber, okay? So the first thing I need to do, now I can go hands-free, is I need to go ahead and build a progress capture that's gonna serve two purposes. It's gonna capture progress on my haul. It's also gonna help me get the blue rope out of this ATC. It's very difficult to haul through Reverso, ATC, or tube device because there's a lot of friction here. Can be done with a 3-to-1, but you have to overcome a lot of friction. So I like to just go ahead and get out of it, do what I need to do, and then get back in. That's what I'm going to show you in this video. So I want to use a locker for my progress capture because there's a little bit more at stake this time than just transferring weight. We're going to be kind of relying on this thing in our system. And I'm going to use a cordelet to kind of build this. And this is a 5mm one, but you can use a 6mm or 7mm cordelet. Should grab kind of your standard, 9mm, 9.4mm climbing rope. And I'm using a climb heist. Pull that cordelet through. Make sure it's biting, it is. And the distance of this climb heist is maybe a foot or so, maybe a little bit more. I don't want to make it too low because I want to keep this in place for my haul, and I don't want it running into my haul system that's going to be down here. So that's good. And I'm going to go ahead and put a Munter mule here because I want this to be releasable, because after I'm done hauling, I want to go back to my two followers in parallel belaying. So I want to come off this system seamlessly. So we're going to make it releasable. And one tip I showed you on the last video, once you make the mule, just put the tail through the mule loop, okay? You don't have to do an overhand. Saves you a little bit of time. Okay, so I'll move my progress capture down. So now we're tight here, okay? But I still need to build my haul system. So remember, in any kind of rescue scenario where we're going from one system to another, build the system you're going to before you do the transfer. You don't want to be building the system while I'm sitting on a Prussik or climb heist or something goofy like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put a locker up there, and then that's going to serve as kind of my catastrophe for the haul system. And I want to go ahead and grab the rope here with the Prussik loop or hollow block in this case, I'm going to use an auto block hitch. And I like to use auto blocks in hauls because they're a little bit, looser of the hitches that you can grab a rope with. And since I'm moving this up and down a rope, I don't want it to be, getting caught. So I'll go ahead and run my climbing rope down through that. So now this is starting to look like a 3-to-1. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in because I haven't kind of locked in my new system yet, or this catastrophe knot. So I'm gonna use a clove hitch as kind of the catastrophe system, or the catastrophe backup for my haul system, okay? So I have this clove hitch, and as I accumulate slack in this loop, I can pull that slack through the clove hitch and transfer it into my pile. So I keep this slack kind of minimized. I do need a little bit of slack to do my weight transfer out of the tube device, so I'm going to leave a little bit in. But I can go ahead and pull that catastrophe knot out now. And I'm trying to kind of get that right. And that looks pretty good. And I still need to have the carabiner I'm going to use as my part of my haul system up here. So I'll put another locker here. This is what will be like doing the haul on, okay? So you can see I've looped the back end of the ATC in that, and I'll lock that. So let me go over this, what I have here. So I have me cloved up here, and then I have the backup catastrophe to my haul system, which is this clove hitch. And then I have the carabiner I'm going to be doing the haul on, which you'll see in just a second. I'm basically transferring the weight from the ATC to this. And then I have the ATC, or in my case, Reverso. And then I have my progress capture, okay? So a lot going on here, but we're going to transfer off of this tube system, or tube device, and onto the haul. Okay, so I need a little bit of slack in the system that I can feed into the ATC or the Reverso. So I'm going to pull just a little bit into the system. Okay, and now I need to unweight. So I do the ratchet method to unweight the blue climber out of the ATC. And now I'm unweighted on the blue. Okay, so you can see that's unweighted. And I can push some slack into the ATC. Now, what I'm about to show you is I'm going to take the blue climber out of the ATC, or the Reverso, without backing up the red climber. So I'm going to open this gate, and I'm going to take the blue climber out. This red climber is going to stay in, stay tight on the ATC. For me, I've been taught this way, like taking loops out of lockers and stuff like that. As long as you're watching it, as long as you're careful, that is acceptable. If this is not an acceptable risk to you, if you're like, hey, I don't like opening a locking carabiner when I have another climber on belay, no problem. Take the back end of this red, come up here, muncher mule overhand, now you have them backed up too. That's totally fine, but I'm trying to be efficient. I've done this before, I've been taught this way, and we can just pull that extra slack in. So you can see I have this slack in now, in the backside of the Reverso. I can open this gate, take that loop out, and close the gate and lock it back. So you can see that I was very controlled, and there was just no chance that the red climber was going to come out. So I can pull that through, and now I have my haul system all ready to go. So I can go ahead and pull tight. I've got, let's see, maybe 18 inches of slack in the system, so that's acceptable. And I can slide my auto block down, and I can start to do my haul. Now you can see as I start to do my haul, my progress capture gets loose. So I need to mind this at all times. That's keeping the rope from going backwards. So I pull that through, and I slide it down. Pull it through, and I want you to see this part. If I pull through enough where this auto block gets high, and I try to slide this down, you'll see it gets jammed. Okay, that's okay. Just lower back down to where the progress capture bites, and then I slide my auto block down. Okay, makes sense? And then I can continue. And the whole time you're just minding this, okay? Makes sense? Now, as I continue to haul, you'll see that I start to build up more slack. See, I got more slack in there than 18 inches now. And what's important is that I come over to this clove and pull that slack through, and then pull it down the other side, the back side of that clove, down to my pile. Okay, and you can see that now I have a lot less slack. And I can continue to do that 3 to 1. Now, if I'm at a heavy part, or if the climber needs more assistance than what a 3 to 1 can provide, it's pretty easy to go to a 5 to 1. Again, I can go hands-free because I have this clove backing me up. Okay, so it's fine to go hands-free. I got my progress catcher, everything's locked. And I want to go to a 5 to 1 on this blue, okay? So let's do that. So there's multiple ways to quickly transfer from a 3 to 1 to a 5 to 1 system. So the bottom line is, for a 5 to 1, you have to have a fixed point on the master point that can go down and get into your 3 to 1 system. And then you can move your 3 to 1 onto a 2 to 1, and it's additive at that point. I'll show you what that looks like. So I could use a sling or something like that, but I'll just go use the backside of one of my cloves that I've cloved into the anchor system with. Normally I would just use the backside of the blue one because I would have only cloved in with one rope, but I'll use the red one just so you can see the other strand. So I'll take another carabiner, non-locker is fine. I will clip it onto the existing auto block. I will clip that in. And then here I'm gonna just make a clove hitch. You can also do overhand on a bite, whatever. But I like to just do clove hitch just because like I can adjust it if I don't like how it's working out. Onto a non-locker. And then I take my 3 to 1 and I clip that into there, okay? Now it's important to do it like this versus to unclip here, the original 3 to 1 point, and then clip into here, because then I introduce a bunch of slack into the system if I were to do that. But now I will minimize the amount of slack I introduce by unclipping because I've clipped into this new fixed point. So I can unclip here and go back to where I was hauling. And let me see if I can get this kind of spread out a little bit so you can see. I can take this non-locker back. And you can see now I have this fixed line going down, fixed here, going down to the auto block and coming up to this new carabiner. So this is a 2 to 1, okay? And then I have a 2 to 1 here as well, okay? So I'm pulling here, so it's me here, and then me here, so that's 2. And then that 2 transfers to here, so you have 2 here and 2 here, so that's 4 here, okay? And then if I come back to the blue, I'm still 1. That 1 passes all the way through here, down to here as well. So 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. Now I have a 5 to 1, and I can continue to pull up. And I can mind my progress capture, slide this down. And obviously the more you can slide that auto block down, the more throw you can get before you have to keep resetting the system, right? And I could, if I wanted to, I could adjust this clove so that it could come up more. But you get the picture, I think. Okay, keep sliding my progress capture down. And keep sliding my auto block down. And I continue to haul. Again, you can see I've introduced more slack. I just come to my clove here and I can pull that slack through. So now I need to transfer back to my ATC. So before I do that, I am going to go ahead and clean this slack up a little bit. So I'll pull that through. Yeah, it's looking a little bit neater. Okay. And I want a little bit of slack in the system because I have to get back into this ATC, okay? But everything's backed up again, okay? It's a little crowded around here, but I'm keeping track of everything. I still have my progress capture on, okay? And so basically now I need to take this extra slack that I have behind my progress capture that's backed up on this clove, and I need to get a loop that I can put back in this ATC and go back on belay to continue belaying the climber back up the climb. So the first thing is, I think I probably need maybe 6 more inches of slack. I need to make sure that I get the climber end here, and I put that back in the ATC, or the Reverso in my case, on the top, okay? So I make my bite just like I would normally load it. And I'm gonna load it the same way as I unloaded it. So again, if you're not comfortable with opening this gate on the back of the ATC, then back up the red climber. But I'm comfortable, and so far nobody's at risk because I'm just putting this in. Okay. So you can see I just push this through. Feed a little bit of slack through. Okay. So I have a nice loop here. Okay. And I'm going to unscrew my gate, put that loop into the carabiner, and then screw my gate back on. Okay. And now I can, again, I'm still backed up. Everything's backed up. I can take that hull carabiner, unlock it, and pull this out. And now I'm back in belay mode, okay? If I want to, just to go hands-free and clean this thing up, which I am, put my overhand back on. I have my backup on my ATC, my backup catastrophe on my ATC, and now I can just start to unclip stuff. Everything is unloaded except for the progress capture. I take my auto block off. Okay. I can clean up all this mess. I can take this clove out. This clove is not needed anymore. I have my backup here. And now the last thing to do is to transfer the weight from this Munter Mule back on to the belay device. Again, I still have my catastrophes in, so I'll leave those in. It doesn't really matter, but I can go ahead and undo that. Lower this. Okay, it's unloaded. I still have my catastrophes in. Unlock. Pull this out. Climb heist out. Okay. I can undo these knots now. Backup knots. And I'm ready to continue belaying, okay? Hey, I hope you found this video useful for doing one of the most fundamental rescue techniques, or helping your climber techniques, which is hauling. Again, if you had a gree-gree, you basically just use that in place of both the progress capture and the carabiner that I put here as the top part of the haul system. Continue to check out our channel as I continue through this series. Pretty excited to share this kind of stuff. Leave any questions or comments or suggestions or some type of rescue technique that you'd like to see. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to our channel. Love making videos for you guys, and the continued attention to the channel helps motivate me. Hey, I hope you found this video useful, and I'll catch you out on the crag.